100 gram.
Darren DeFilo.
And where are you from?
From the Lower Ninth Ward, New Orleans.
All right, tell me a little bit about how it was growing up where you was from.
Well, actually, growing up, I was actually like under 3 years old. Was in the Lafitte projects at first, but really we moved to the Ninth Ward, and that's why my grandma, all three of my grandmas was Lazardi and North Johnson and all that, and it was cool. You know, it was a close community. Of course, there's a lot of bad things that you go you see or whatever at a young age, whatever the case may be, across the canal in the Ninth Ward. But I definitely felt protected with my family, whatever the case may be, and had a lot of friends. We just seen a lot of stuff or got into a lot of stuff early on in age that I don't think you normally would want to see. But other than that, like everything was cool. It was normal.
All right, you mentioned all of your family being in the Ninth Ward. So growing up, did you grow up with both of your parents? Like, how was that situation?
So I grew up with both of my parents, but separately. It was more so like with my grandma and my mom on her side, but then my dad lived around the corner, with his mom, whatever the case may be. So I go over there on the weekends sometimes, whatever the case may be. But it wasn't necessarily. It definitely wasn't I'm living with my mom and my daddy in the house together.
All right. But how would you say like that situation, like how would you say that affected you growing up? Like, was it a positive or a negative effect? Like, how did it feel to you growing up, like with that type of dynamic?
Growing up, it was normal to me at the time. I just thought that's how things were, because nobody else, as far as like, family-wise, was really like, mom and dad type deal. I had friends, like that, but I didn't look at them no different. But coming up in age, I've felt the effects of it, of not necessarily having those conversations that you probably should have when things are going on. Like, if your dad in the house or whatever, you may possibly have that conversation. Be like, oh, this happened to me. Or he may ask, what happened to you today? And you could actually get some knowledge at that time or whatever. But not only that, growing up, I also see how it affected. Like, my mom had to work way more than she probably should have, right? So you didn't necessarily have a lot of. I didn't necessarily have a lot of, that as far as relationship-wise. But I was always taken care of. They just wanted to make sure that I was taken care of. But in other ways, it kind of faltered. But people gotta live their life and make the best of the situations. And I don't regret anything that happened, but
right.
Yeah.
So making the best of the situation, like you said, like, so how was Darren as a kid? Like, describe to us, like, how were you growing up? Like, what was your childhood like? Just as a kid.
I would describe it as, I don't want to make it sound bad, but I would describe it as painful. But it's because of me having sickle cell, right?
All right.
So it's not necessarily, from relationships or whatever the case may be. Like I said, I think from what I did have good relationships with family members and friends. But as far as being able to talk to people about what I personally was going through, because I knew nobody else, and nobody else knew how I felt going through what I was going through as far as having sickle cell. That put a big mental block, I think, on me in a way to where I never felt like I fit in.
Okay, and is that something you still deal with today, like, or what's going on with that now?
Now, currently, I will say that I always feel like I'm catching up. Because, normally, you gotta think about it like this. A normal person's life, they have a lot of control in kind of what they do, how I see it. Just maybe other people may look different. I feel like a lot of people have control over what they do and what they don't do on a day-to-day basis. For me, I've had so many experiences where I just got sick. And I was doing something, but it pushed me back. So it's like, all right, I gotta go even harder when I'm out there, if I'm healthy, or whatever the case may be. And then even growing up, you hear doctors saying, oh, well, yeah, you may live till you're 35. You may live till you're 30. Like, imagine how
So getting those type of messages growing up, like, does that change how you live your life today? Like, do you feel like you said, you have to catching up for a lot of things, but do you live life with the idea of I just gotta go hard as possible with everything I do?
I've personally just got into the mental space where I'm starting to slow down things and making things easier for me instead of just going off of, oh, I'm gonna just do this and go hard all day, every day. It's more about being smarter and being smarter with, my health, being smarter with who I'm around, being smarter with the work that I do, taking on things that holistically brings me more so peace and not necessarily wanting too much. Because I think that aspect of going so hard at certain times got me saying, oh, I'm moving too fast, and then it's kind of counterproductive because if I go too fast, I wind up getting stressed.
Okay. All right. Well, I really kind of want to rewind a little bit. Where did you go to high school at?
I went to a few high schools. I started at McMain before Hurricane Katrina, 9th and 10th grade. Then Hurricane Katrina came. Went to Westside High School in Houston, Texas. Came back, moved to Slidell, Louisiana, and graduated from Salmon High.
Would you say like going to different schools like you did and just Katrina in general, would you say like that had a good effect? Or not necessarily a good effect, but how did that affect you, like going from different schools, meeting new people? Like, how was that for you?
It was just different experiences as far as, being a new person all the time, besides McMain, because a lot of my friends already went to, schools before that, like Marshall or whatever the case may be. So we all kind of migrated to McMain. And then after the hurricane, I think that changed a lot as far as, me going to different schools, and it was just about getting acclimated with everything all the time. I really was an introvert. I didn't really talk to that many people unless I really kind of knew you. So I really always into my own thing, into my own work. But it did help me. I think going to Houston get some exposure just about different stuff, because I wasn't really in another city or in another state like that.
All right, so after high school, what did you do after high school? Like, go to school, whatever?
After high school, I went to UNO. For business. And I actually failed out of UNO. I was getting sick a lot. Mm-hmm. So I failed out of that. Then I wound up going to Delgado for a semester and got my grades back up. Then I went to this school called William Carey and wound up getting my psychology degree from William Carey University. It took me longer than usual. I think about 6 years for me to get my bachelor's. And then I wound up going to Xavier to get my master's. But I quit because I was doing videography.
All right, so look, before you jump into that, I know the people may not know, but tell me about your photography journey. Like, when did you pick that up, the camera? When did you pick the camera up? Just give us a whole story, man.
So I picked up a camera when my mom actually owned a restaurant in New Orleans East. She had a restaurant, it was called the Pizza Stop. So, we was, doing that, whatever case may be, working there. And this was while I was in college. And there was a guy, man, I wish I could give his name because I remember it, but he was doing a lot of music videos at the time on YouTube. And I used to, watch all of them. I just thought it was, I thought it was cool, whatever. And I was like, man, I could do that, whatever the case may be. Like, and I just like the artistry of it. So I told my mom, like, man, I can make a commercial, whatever. I'm gonna just go get a camera, I just felt like I could just do it. So I went, and started doing that just before, social media and all that, like Instagram and all that was, I don't think Instagram was even.
What year you think this was about?
I think this was like 2010.
All right.
So yeah, so like Instagram and stuff wasn't, gone or whatever. Facebook was out, but I started doing stuff with that, and then friends was rapping, so I started doing music videos around that time, and I just kept on going, like kept moving with it until I got into. I actually did a video years later for Greg from We That. I actually seen him I was working at Best Buy too. So I actually seen him at Best Buy, and I was like, man, like I really like how, you're moving, everything is coming up for you. Actually it was with different people. I think also I did a few things with Super as well at that time. But I seen him, I was like, how did you, one question I asked was, what made you just go all into your business? And he was just like, man, I just put everything down and just went for it. I was like, man, I'd like to come and just, shoot for you. And then I wound up doing that for a few. So everybody that gave me the motivation to do it was always people that just kind of came into my life by just through conversation or by somebody referring them. So, or me seeing somebody, right?
All right, I heard you mention Super. I like that you talk about a relationship you have with Super because she's one of the most influential people from the city. So I think it would be dope to hear about, relationship with her.
Yeah, I honestly don't remember how we met. I can't pinpoint it, but I know, when she asked she definitely had a following. I know when she asked for something about a videographer or whatever, and we started. And we started to work together. It was a real cool mutual thing, and it was just always fun, working with. Like whatever we did, like she was a lot into comedy at that time, like doing a lot of skits or whatever. So we did that, and it's always been, just this cool friendship and business relationship just between, me and her. Like anytime she'll even hit me up when she find out like I'm I still, I won't say I suffer with it, but I've definitely got a hold on my health way better than what it was. But if something was down, she'll even hit me up and check on me or whatever. So that's the type of relationship that we got. Is real. Anytime I see her, it's what's up. It's cool. It's a great. It's just a great relationship as far as a friendship and understanding that anytime she needs something, she hit me up. Anytime, I need to, call her about something, she always picks up the phone. So we've always just had a real cool relationship from the beginning.
All right, so like you said, you pick up the camera with your mom at the restaurant. You start doing music video for your homies. You start doing work with Greg and Super and people like that. So what was next? Like, what's the next evolution for videography for you? So
through Greg, I actually met another individual. There's a photographer, Jeremy, and he was doing a lot of weddings. So we wind up partnering with a lot of stuff. He do the photography, I do the videography, and like weddings really got big for me doing that. Weddings became big, and then other businesses started working with businesses, and it's just been a consistent thing into building that and always working. Like it never seemed like work. And people ask me all the time about what you do for fun, and I'm like, man, like this kind of my fun. Like I like, I like doing that. So it's just been a continuous growth as far as learning how to, get clients and build business and do right by people that come your way.
All right, and if you had a message for any up-and-coming photographers or people that's been doing it for some time, or videographers that have been doing it for some time, like what would you tell them? Like what are some things that you do or that you feel have like help you get to where you at now?
One thing is for sure, don't be afraid of failure, because that's gonna come. You're gonna feel like you didn't do this right, or you're gonna get a client and you didn't do something right, and look at that as a learning experience, right? Also, another thing is you have to continue to practice. If it ain't every day, if it ain't every other day, like, you got to be every day that you learning and doing something with your camera. Like, I see a lot of people that want to do it, and then they be like, yeah, I ain't pick up my camera in like 3 months. And I'm like, you ain't never gonna get it. And also, look for mentors. Look for people that you know. And I know sometimes this is hard for people to find somebody that could be close to them and tell them what they should do or get direction. But there are people out there, even if it's a mentor, could be a book, a mentor could be a class, even if you get a class. But that's the main thing I would say is those 3 things.
I think it's one thing that you're not mentioning. The people can't see behind the camera and all the equipment that you got. So I think from the looks of it from my end, I would say you constantly are investing in yourself as well in your craft. So can you speak a little bit about that?
Yeah, so investing in yourself is, it's a really big thing for me. I've continued to purchase, I could go from light stands to cameras to lights to courses to even investing in tax professionals, investing in like I said, mentors before. Even you gotta pay for a mentor. Like, continuing investing in yourself is the only way that you're going to amass what you want in a quicker way. Because if you're just doing something and you just doing it just to do it, and you don't find the value in the monetary value in investing in something, do you really like it?
Right.
Right. Do you really feel like do you really value it that much that, oh no, I'm not gonna pay for that. That costs too much. So it's like I don't see the mental aspect of saying that when you could really, get into investing in yourself and then learning new things and being serious about it.
So now, like you say, you're doing commercials for companies and stuff now. So I know you have bigger goals for yourself. Like, well, so what's next for Darren? Whether it's dealing with videos or whatever it may be, like new business endeavors. Like, what do you see next? Like, do you have any ultimate goals?
My ultimate goals are, continuing to build a actual production company, getting that right. I've been doing a lot of, learning in that aspect, but taking my time, not trying to really rush into it. Also, what I mean by production company is having a team of people. I've always had contractors and friends that come in and help, but having a team of my own that could take on anything is something that I'm looking forward to. And also a lot of education as well. So I did start to build my own online class, and I actually have it, but putting more into that to be able to teach as many people as I can as beginners, and even if it's business owners, because a lot of people right now, they use video for almost everything, right? Especially for marketing purposes. And, eventually venturing off into doing other things outside of that, but I feel like video and photography will always be a part of whatever business I do, because I can always market it, and I can always use that to build upon whatever's coming up next. But yeah, that's just about, I don't see myself stopping this probably ever.
All right. Me knowing you, I know family is important to you. So can you talk about your family life now?
Right now is just making sure that my kids are set for whatever that's needed as far as learning how to deal with life, right? So going back to my childhood and, not being able to always have that person like literally right there because of just how busy people were and how they, and the things that needed to happen at the time. I'm much more cognizant of being there for like my kids. So just I'm very busy with them, making sure that do whatever, making sure they get kind of a aspect of what life is, if that's traveling, if that's doing work, if that's just being good to people, if that's learning about your spiritual self, your mental health. So right now, that's where I'm at with that, and getting better, like, because nobody's perfect, so trying to get better at it every day and learning how I can be better from yesterday, and what I learned from it, what I think I didn't learn. So
basically, what I'm gathering from you is like father kind of, you would say, help change you. You're not saying you were ever like on a bad path, but fatherhood, put you even on a better path.
Yeah, facts. Like, fatherhood is definitely something that has pushed me to even be even more healthy as a person, right? Like I say, like before when I was younger, I didn't really have control of this whole sickle cell situation, but now it's like, just recently and seeing things and learning things and understanding, like when those doctors was like, oh yeah, you ain't gonna be here till, I ain't saying it like that, but they'll, the expectancy is like 30, 35. And I'm like, that's crazy. But at the same time, now it's like, I'm doing my best to be overall mentally, physically, spiritually as healthy as possible for them. And without them, I'm not sure if that would necessarily be the case. Maybe not. But I know for a fact that they contributed to that.
If you could go back in time and speak to your younger self, or just to the kids in general, what message would you give them, or to your younger self?
To my younger self, to kids and even my kids, I would say through whatever pain you have, you can find your passion. And I think that's what, once again, helped me, because with all the pain, I always felt like, I couldn't work for nobody, so I started to work for myself. Just because of whatever issues I thought I had. So in that aspect, anything that you're going through, you can make that into a passion of yours and really flourish because it's important to you. And it was a little different for me, but I think with anybody, don't look at whatever you're going through as truly a bad thing. You could make that out into something as great as you want to.
All right, and before we close out, where could the people find you? Your social media, if they want to try to book you, your website, whatever it may be, where could they find you at?
Social media is Darren DeFillo. Also, my company is Creating, CRE8TIN9, and my wedding business is August Sky Wedding Films. And that's websites and social media handles.
All right, dope. Thank you for stopping by, bro. Appreciate it.
Appreciate.
Only in New Orleans.